So I was thinking I should say a few more things about this, because the other interesting thing about it is that many, especially the enlightened beings, they mix Tantra and Yoga Vedanta. In fact, off the top of my head, all of the great Hindu masters, they're doing that. So in Amma's ashram, Amma mixes it. All of the practices that we do are tantric. One of the reasons for that is that in the Vedanta tradition, there's not so many practices, because it's more about the knowledge of the self. It's more subtle. It's, in some ways, it's not totally intellectual, but it's focusing a lot on the jnana yoga. But Tantra was a development that came with more practices. Kundalini yoga, focused on awakening the Kundalini, activating the chakras, and having this spiritual energy go up. Using more mantra science. Ajapa, what we did this morning, that's the mantra with breath, that's from the tantric tradition. So in Amma's ashram, all of the practices we do are tantric. Even the mantras that Amma gives us, our guru mantras, they have a secret called the bijakshara, a seed mantra in them. That's tantric. We do meditation on the chakras, tantric. We do a puja to the Divine Mother. The one we did was the short one, 108 names. In the ashram, we do 1,000. But it takes too long and you guys would get exhausted doing it. So I just did 108. This is tantric. But all of the study we do, Vedanta. We don't study any tantric texts in Amma's ashram. Not even once have I ever seen it in 20-something years. We study Brahma Sutras, Gita, Upanishads, and the stuff that we're studying today, these other texts from Shankaracharya. I'll mention him again later. And Ramana Maharshi, the man on the right, also mixing Tantra and Vedanta. I mean, he's kind of beyond. He was so in the pure consciousness, he really didn't kind of bother with this. But it sort of is a mix. Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, maybe some people have heard of him. His great disciple was Swami Vivekananda, who was the first great master to come to America. He gave a talk at the World's Parliament of Religions in 1892, I believe, and just blew them away, talking about Advaita. It was standing ovation, and he ended up setting up the Vedanta Society centers, which are all over the world now. So in that tradition, also, they teach Advaita Vedanta, but the master, the root guru, Ramakrishna, he was a full-on tantrika, worshipping the goddess Kali, mixing. So that's the reality. A lot of the masters mix these, and I think part of it is the tantric practices are so powerful, but the philosophy is very difficult, and Vedanta is much more simple. I think that's probably part of the reason. Vedanta philosophy is much more simple and to the point, where the tantric philosophy is this grand visionary thing, kind of, and it's complicated.
Maybe you could give examples of what Ramakrishna used to do to show how wild Tantra is. Yeah.
Well,
his practices.
Okay, well, it's kind of, so the thing is, it wasn't even it wasn't like Ramakrishna was doing tantric practices. He just, he attained enlightenment on his own. He didn't have a guru. He's an avatar. Amma also did not have a guru. We also consider her an avatar. These are people who are born enlightened. But after Ramakrishna attained, actually after he woke up, a Vedantic guru came and he followed the path of Vedanta and meditation and very quickly realized that path to God. And then a tantric woman came, the master was a woman, came, and he also realized it through those practices. But he was naturally doing these things. For example, he loved these different forms of God. You want to hear some of these stories about him? Okay. Well, I got to take a step back then. So Ramakrishna, his job is, he is the pujari. He's the priest in this famous Kali temple in Calcutta called Dakshineshwar. And he's a Brahmin, so like a high caste priest, but he's from a very poor family and he's not so educated, even though he is a Brahmin. So he's very innocent. So he's doing worship to Kali. In the statue, it's called the Murti, but he believes Kali is not the stone. He really believes she's the goddess. And he is like a child and he's very frustrated that he can't experience her outside of the statue. And it becomes so frustrating for him and he has such a burning that he's not eating, he's not sleeping. He's sitting in front of Kali in the temple and he's crying, he's begging, he's, Divine Mother, give me your cosmic vision, let me merge with you. And Kali has a sword. She has a sword and an axe. She has these different things that are representative for killing the ego. And at that time, this is in the 1800s, it was a real sharp, thick sword. So finally, he grabs the sword and he's gonna cut his throat. And he's like, Kali, if you don't merge with me now, if I don't see you, I'm cutting my jugular vein. And at that moment, he has the cosmic vision of Kali and he merges with her. I'm getting goosebumps not talking about it. And he was described as being, there's pictures of him. He looks intoxicated. And he just talked about this universe is the fun house. That's what he called it, in Bengali. But he said, this is the Divine Mother's playhouse. And so after he realized and became one with Kali, he saw these other forms of God, like Hanuman the monkey, Krishna and Radha. He wanted to play with all of them. So he became 100%, he merged with Hanuman, and he climbed trees, and he would pee like a monkey from the trees. He was totally gone. If he was not in India, he would have been put into a hospital. 100%. But in India, they were like, Om Namah Shivaya. And then he wanted to experience what it was like to be Radha, Krishna's beloved, so he dressed like a woman and would imagine that he was dancing with Krishna in bliss. And he would just do whatever. Really wild things. And then I guess over the years, this was kind of in the beginning, before he had all these disciples. But then he had, at first there was a lot of university students. And this is an interesting side note too. At that time, this is British India. And Calcutta was the center of British India. And because they had been colonized, there was a big movement among the young, educated, intellectual Indians, basically against religion. That is just superstitious, backward stuff. Now we're educated, we speak English, we've gone to university, like this. And so a lot of the first students who came to Ramakrishna were these well-educated, not very spiritual students. And they ended up all becoming monks. because in his presence, like in Amma's presence, you can feel God, you can feel the divine energy. And he didn't try to convert anybody or anything like that. It was simply by spending time in his company. So, what do you think? Was that a good introduction to Ramakrishna? Yeah.
It's nice to hear stories of
Yeah.
tantrikas do or yeah.
And so there's a very strong connection between Ramakrishna and Amma. Some people believe that Amma is an incarnation of Ramakrishna. I don't know, we can't say. But there's a very strong connection, and even there's 108 names of Amma, and even in those names, it's the person who wrote it talks about the similarities between Ramakrishna and Amma. Amma also merged with the Divine Mother and saw that she could become any deity and merge with the deities. She had very similar experiences. And then the Swamis of the Ramakrishna order, that order of monks that came after Ramakrishna, they were the ones that initiated the first monks of Amma's ashram. And so there's a direct connection between the two of those. And a lot of similarities.
Do they initiate women as well, Ramakrishna?
That's a good question.
Because Amma initiates women.
Yeah, so Amma has women monks, swaminis. But it's not so common in India.
And doing pujas.
That's even less common.
Yeah.
Amma has initiated women pujaris. But what's cool about it is that the Tibetan Buddhist tradition, I love it. It's amazing, and there's a lot of connections because it's tantric. But in that tradition, they recognize these rinpoches, these tulkus, from birth. They recognize them like the Dalai Lama and say, you are the incarnation of the last Dalai Lama. Basically, you are a VIP. Okay? And that's the tradition. And with some exceptions, most of the masters in that tradition are kind of chosen in this way. But in Hinduism, it's like all merit-based. So Amma only went to the 4th grade. She's low caste. She was basically like abused as a child. And she is the #1 figure in the entire Hindu tradition in India today. When Pope Francis invited world religious leaders to the Vatican to sign this thing about human trafficking, not only did he invite Amma to represent Hinduism, but in the picture, he sat her next to him. So it's the beautiful thing is in President Modi, he loves Amma. He talks about her. I think he even has like asked her for advice on things. And so I just think only in India can like something like this happen within that tradition. Because certainly they have their rigidity in India and their orthodoxy, but if they realize somebody is enlightened, it doesn't matter if it's a woman or a pig or anything, they understand it. I say that because there's an incarnation of Vishnu that's a boar, a wild pig. So I love that.
Is President Modi a disciple of Amma? Do you know?
Oh, I don't know about that, but I know that he's very fond of Amma. And I know they've met several times, and he came to the inauguration of the new hospital in Delhi. And so Amma had all these terrorist threats several years ago. Like they actually, like the Indian Secret Service, I don't know what they're called, but like their CIA and intelligence, they arrested all these, like a terrorist cell, an Islamic terrorist cell, and they had like plans of Amritapuri ashram. like, yeah, and in other holy places. And so after that happened, so now we have the Indian military at the ashram. So Modi was like, I'm going to take care of you, and yeah. Very complicated in India. Yeah.
I think they're looking for the next Dalai Lama. Yeah. I think I've heard that somewhere. Yeah. What's that? Since he just had his birthday. 20 minutes. Looking for the next Dalai Lama.
Yeah, usually they, the current Dalai Lama, historically, he'll give instructions where to find the next one. Yeah. I don't know, you have to ask him. But you might be thinking, well, what is it that reincarnates? It's a common question. What is it that reincarnates? So when the Dalai Lama says, I'm going to tell you how to find the next me, what is it that's going into the next body? Well, we're going to talk about it in the text. Not today, but
later on.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, and the other thing I wanted to say also about Patanjali's yoga, the last thing I'll say. So the people who have taken the YTT with me did some of the Yoga Sutras. And so the Yoga Sutra starts, and Patanjali says, just sit and still the mind. And then the seer rests in its own true nature. The consciousness rests in its own true nature. And then the first chapter is talking about different states of samadhi, right? But then it's really difficult to just sit and still the mind and realize your true nature, right? So then in the second chapter, Patanjali says, he kind of acknowledges most people can't do that, so what do? He says you do Kriya Yoga, Tapas Swadhyaya, Ishvara Pranidhani, which is essentially here. So tapas is discipline. So like your asana, your pranayama, your meditation, and obeying your guru. Then swadhyaya means japa. So the soham, that is swadhyaya. So any sort of mantra repetition, mantra with breath is swadhyaya. And swadhyaya also means study of the scriptures. And in the commentaries on Yoga Sutras, because Yoga Sutra was not really considered like a scripture, it's more like an instruction manual, how to. So in the commentaries, it says, what does Patanjali mean by Swadhyaya? Upanishads. He means you're studying the Upanishads, you're doing tapas, and you're doing mantra meditation. So basically, what I'm trying to connect is that even in Yoga Sutras, the main practices are the same as Tantra and Advaita. You're still doing serving the Guru, mantra repetition, and study. Those are kind of the main things.
So, sorry, Kriya Yoga is under Advaita Vedānta?
No, Patanjali's yoga. Yeah. So in Patanjali's yoga, he first says yoga is just sitting and stilling the mind completely, and then the seer, the witness, the consciousness rests in its own true nature. And he kind of is saying you need to separate consciousness from matter. But then the first chapter is about different states of samadhi when the mind becomes still and absorbed. But then in the second chapter, he acknowledges that was for the super advanced people, the first chapter. Second chapter, he says, if you can't do that, you practice Kriya Yoga. Kriya means basically techniques. And he says, what is Kriya Yoga? Tapas, discipline, swadhyaya, mantra repetition and study of the scriptures, Vedanta, and Ishvara Pranidhani, which is bhakti, devotion to God and Guru.
And wouldn't jhana also be the svadhyaya?
Yeah, so that's the study.
So that would be under Advaita Vedānta.
Yes, yes. So Patanjali is also incorporating all three of these, right? Because serving God and Guru is karma yoga and bhakti yoga, both. So the Ishvara Pranidhana has to do with both of these, and then the jnana is the study part. So it's all connected.
Your mind to be settled so that you can
Yes.
sit, rest in your own consciousness.
Yes, exactly. Even the karma yoga where you're not sitting and you're just doing, that's also another way to concentrate the mind. And then a lot of times, so traditionally, the way it was until not that long ago, you would go to the guru for a 12-year period. This is in modern times too, because modern yogis were doing this very recently. So you go for a 12-year period, and in that 12-year period, you might not even learn very many techniques. You might just be doing work in the ashram. And maybe you'd get a mantra. And the guru would say, chant your mantra while you're doing the work. And the guru would basically having you do mindfulness. Like while you work, while you sweep, while you wash the dishes. 12 years. And then after that period, you would decide if you wanted to go get married or continue and get ordained. So yeah, you would have this whole period of just learning to focus and be mindful.
What is Kriya Yoga specifically?
So in the Yoga Sutras, Kriya Yoga is tapas, discipline, swadhyaya, which means study of the scriptures, and mantra repetition.
And in Yogananda's lineage?
It means something different, so it's totally confusing.
Oh, that's why
Yeah.
I was
So Kriya Yoga and Tantra are totally different. They're like Kundalini Yoga practices. Yeah, it gets confusing because a lot of terms are used in different ways in different traditions. Yeah. So Yogananda's Kriya Yoga is not Patanjali's.
Oh,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. I should have said that. I was thinking about that, but then I forgot. Yeah. So maybe we get started now. Along
We
with,
haven't gotten started yet.
This was the introduction.
The intro.
that was the intro to the introduction. Okay, so now we're going to go into Tattva Bodha. We're not going to get into the actual text today, but I'll just introduce it a bit. So as I said before, Tattva Bodha is for anyone who wants to study the Vedanta scriptures. The Bhagavad Gita, the Upanishads, and even Yoga Sutras or Tantra, it helps to study Tattva Bodha first. And you'll understand the scriptures well by studying this primary text. Tattva, I talked about it yesterday. Tattva means reality, capital R, or the ultimate reality. It could also mean God or pure consciousness. However it makes sense to you what that ultimate reality is, that is what Tattva means. And Bodha means knowledge. So it's knowledge of ultimate reality, which also means knowledge of my true self. So you could think of it as knowledge of ultimate reality or knowledge of my true self. That is the subject.
Can you write down the name of
The text?
Tattva Bodha.
Yeah.
I think at least I understand
Yeah. Can I erase this?
Yes.
Yeah.
Page 12, right?
Um,
I think it's, yeah.
You're welcome. And the V is pronounced more like a W, Tattva. Tattva Bodha. And so the first question is, why should I bother with this? What's the point? Why should we gain self-knowledge? Like, why shouldn't I leave here, go to the beach and sip strawberry margaritas? Why should I even bother with this? What's the benefit? What's the benefit of self-knowledge? Because human beings, we're benefit-oriented, right? We think, what are we going to get? What am I going to get out of it? Right? We won't learn anything or give our energy to something unless we think we're going to get something from it. So what do you get from self-knowledge? That's the question. So traditionally, in this tradition, there's 5 great benefits of studying self-knowledge, of jnana yoga. So I'll go through them. You don't have to remember the Sanskrit names, but it's good to write down the English. So the first one is called Jignasa Nivritti, which means the cessation of curiosity, meaning this self-knowledge answers every question you've ever had. Because it answers the question, who am I? What is the nature of reality, the universe? What's my place in it? Everything. So it says, this answers all questions. Every curiosity you have, it will end when you realize the Atman. So that's the number one great benefit. It answers every single question. It quenches the thirst for knowledge. The view of Vedanta is any craving you have for scientific knowledge, it will answer that. Any craving for love that you're looking for outside of yourself, it will cure that, because you'll realize that you are love. Like any single question you have, it's saying that when you realize the Atman, that is the end of questioning, because you've realized your